Have you ever thought that being too kind in retirement might be the reason you're losing the peace you were supposed to enjoy most in life? Here's the truth. If you want to protect your peace, your dignity, and your future, there comes a point when you have to stand your ground. Even if that means being seen as a little harsh. Even if people start saying you've changed, become cold, or selfish. This video is for anyone in their 60s, 70s, or 80s, especially those who feel like they've spent years living up to other people's expectations, even when they're tired. When your grown kids lean on you too much, when extended family oversteps, or when society expects you to just stay quiet because you're old now, it's time to shift the balance. Being kind doesn't mean becoming invisible. Loving your family doesn't mean staying silent when your spirit feels worn out. And the sooner you learn to guard your energy, your time, and your self-respect without guilt, without apology, the lighter your retirement years will feel. So today, we're going to talk about 7 things you must become firmer about after 70. Not because you're bitter, but because you've gotten wiser. And sometimes, wisdom looks a lot like saying no, setting clear boundaries, and choosing yourself without feeling bad about it. Number 1, protect your time. One of the first things you need to get firm about in retirement is your time. Sounds simple, right? But the truth is, if you don't take control of it, it starts to slip away. Piece by piece. Quietly claimed by others while you barely notice. People just assume. If you're retired, you must be free. Free to babysit. Free to run errands. Free to pick up every phone call. Show up at a moment's notice. Always be available. But that's not freedom. That's just a new kind of schedule, one you never signed up for. At 70 or 80, every hour is more valuable than gold. Quiet morning. A peaceful afternoon. These should be your choices, not obligations. This doesn't mean you stop helping or start saying no to everyone. It just means you help when you truly want to, not because you feel guilty saying no. You don't owe anyone your time just because they're family. And if someone gets upset because you choose a quiet morning over babysitting, that's their emotion to manage, not your burden to carry. And here's the deeper truth. When you don't own your time, you slowly start to feel invisible. Like a side character in your own story. You feel drained, unappreciated, maybe even quietly resentful, hoping someone finally notices how much you've given. I think of Walter, a friend of mine, 78 years old. He used to watch his grandkids at his daughter's place 3, sometimes 4 days a week. He loved them deeply, but one day, he realized, he was tired. He missed his morning walks. He missed the silence. So one day he said, "I'll help 2 days a week. The rest belongs to me." At first, his daughter wasn't thrilled, but eventually she understood. And for Walter, it was the first time in years he felt like his life was his again. Being firm here isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. Clear about your limits. Clear about what fills you up and what drains you. And clear about one thing above all: your time, especially at this age, is not an all-you-can-eat buffet for everyone to grab from. Number 2, protect your finances fiercely. If there's one area where you need to be rock solid, even unshakable, it's your money. Retirement is not the time to become your family's personal central bank. You worked for decades. That money isn't extra just because you're no longer collecting a paycheck. It's your safety net, your independence, your final shield. And too many older adults lose it not because they were careless, but because they couldn't say one small but powerful word: no. In many families, the pressure is quiet but real. An adult child needs help with rent. A grandkid asks for tuition support. A cousin wants a loan to start a business. At first, it all sounds reasonable. But before you know it, you've given far more than you ever planned. Not because you were reckless, but because you were kind. Here's the problem. Kindness without boundaries can cost you more than just money. Can rob you of peace, of dignity, of your right to decide. That's why financial abuse is one of the most common and overlooked forms of elder abuse. Because it rarely shows up as shouting. It arrives with soft pleas. "Just this once, please?" Or, "But you're not even using that money, Mom." I think of Marlene, 74. Warm-hearted, generous. She wanted to help her kids get on their feet, so she kept giving year after year. Until one day her roof started leaking, and she couldn't afford the repairs. Her kids didn't ignore her. but they also couldn't help. And that's when the regret set in. Not because she gave, but because she hadn't saved enough for herself. Your finances are your second lifeline. They are your legacy, your power to choose. Don't let guilt confuse saying no with stopping love. The people who truly care about you will understand. And the ones who don't, that says more about them than it ever will about you. If you're still watching and finding this helpful, drop a hashtag #2 in the comments so I know you're still here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. That way, you won't miss any of the powerful content coming your way. You're the reason I keep sharing. Number 3. Say no to obligations you don't want to carry. One of the greatest freedoms that comes with retirement is this. You no longer have to say yes just to keep other people happy. Not every invitation, not every dinner, not every gathering, favor, or phone call deserves your yes. And yet so many older adults still agree, simply because they've spent a lifetime trying not to disappoint anyone. After decades of showing up for others, being dependable, selfless, loyal, putting yourself first doesn't come naturally. But the truth is, retirement isn't about pleasing others anymore. It's about honoring yourself. You're not being cold when you say, I'm not feeling up to it today. You're being honest. And for a lot of people, that kind of honesty doesn't show up until it's way too late. I think of Walter, 78 years old. Every Saturday, he'd drive his grandkids to their sports classes. He adored them, no question. But you could see the weariness in his face. No weekends off. No time for rest. He just couldn't bring himself to say no. Until one day, he finally told his daughter, I'd like to keep my Saturdays for myself. She was surprised but not angry. She said, I thought you enjoyed it. You never said anything. And that's something many people need to hear. Others can't respect your boundaries if you never tell them where those boundaries are. Protecting your energy is not betrayal. It's wisdom. You don't owe anyone an explanation for needing quiet, for needing space, for choosing not to take something on. You've lived a full life. You've earned the right to decide what's worth your time and what's not. And if someone judges you for setting limits, that probably just means they got used to you never having any. Number 4. Stop spending out of guilt. There's a trap many retirees fall into, spending money not because they want to, but because they feel guilty if they don't. Guilt is a master manipulator. It makes you keep giving money to your adult children even when they don't truly need it. It pushes you to cover vacations, phone bills, restaurant dinners, not for joy, but just so no one calls you stingy. But here's what no one tells you. Spending money out of guilt doesn't just empty your wallet. It chips away at your inner freedom. You stop planning for yourself. You feel like you don't deserve to spend on your health, your hobbies, your own happiness. I once knew a woman named Helen, 75 years old. She kept helping her 45-year-old son pay off credit card debt. He's my son, how could I say no? She told me. But over time, she started skipping dental appointments. She canceled her gym membership, the one thing she loved, because it costs too much. And every time she helped her son, she was quietly stealing from her own self-care. Retirement isn't the time to turn into a walking ATM. It's the season where you should enjoy what you've worked your whole life to earn. Just remember, generosity is beautiful only when it comes from joy. If it's driven by fear of being judged, of being called selfish, that's not generosity. That's quiet loss. And if you're still watching and this message resonates with you, leave a hashtag #4 in the comments. And hey, if this content is helping you reflect, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss what's next. Number 5. Stop answering calls that don't deserve your time. Something strange happens when you retire. People suddenly assume you're available forever. They start calling you at all hours, texting whenever they feel like it, inviting you to every club, group, or gathering they can think of. And at first it feels nice, like you're still needed, still part of things. But before long, you'll notice your calendar filling up not with things you enjoy, but with a growing list of obligations you never asked for. This is where kindness gets mistaken for endless availability. Just because you're retired doesn't mean your time is public property. I remember Harold, 78. He used to say yes to everything. Church cleanups, condo parties, neighbor meetups. I just don't want to let anyone down, he'd say. But soon he was skipping his healthy breakfasts, gave up his morning walks, stopped reading something he loved. Even his doctor noticed. It wasn't diet or age. It was the chaos of a non-stop schedule that was draining him. The truth is, you don't need to justify how you spend your time. An afternoon spent gardening, a quiet morning watching the rain, a slow cup of coffee with no rush. That's not laziness, that's self-care. Retirement isn't your second shift. It's the chapter where you finally get to live on your terms. And by protecting your peace, you're also protecting your health, your energy, and your happiness. It's time people got to know this new version of you, the one who sets boundaries with love, not guilt. Number 6. Keep your finances private. One of the quickest ways to lose your peace in retirement is when other people start treating your money like it belongs to the whole family. First, it comes gently. An adult child says they're a little short this month. A grandkid asks to borrow money for school. A sibling needs a quick loan and promises to pay it back. And you think, just this once. But then, it happens again. And the more you give, the more people start assuming you'll always be there to help. But here's the truth. Real love should never come with financial expectations. I've seen retirees quietly drain their savings not because they were reckless, but because they were carrying more than anyone realized. And then, when it came time to pay for hospital bills, medications, or even funeral arrangements, they realized no one remembered what they had given except them. There's nothing wrong with helping, but help from your extra, not from your foundation. You worked your whole life for this savings. Whether it's a pension, a savings account, or a paid-off home, it's not a family fund. It's your freedom, your second lifeline, a boundary that no one should cross without your clear and willing consent. You don't owe anyone an explanation about how much you have, how much you're keeping, or how you plan to use it. And if someone asks in a way that makes you uncomfortable, that's your cue to set a boundary. Right then and there. Protecting your money isn't being stingy. It's being wise. It's you, someone who's spent a lifetime caring for everyone else, finally learning how not to leave yourself behind. And if you're still with me and this speaks to you, drop a #6 in the comments so I know you're here. And hey, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Number 7. Stop apologizing for wanting peace. There's a strange paradox after 70. The hardest part isn't being quiet, it's how others react to your quiet. People expect you to always be available. Always say yes. Always show up to every call, every dinner, every little thing that pops up in their lives. But what happens when all you really want is peace? When you're done with the drama, the small talk, the endless favors, you have every right to say no. The problem is, we've been conditioned to believe that saying no is selfish, that silence is cold. But that's not true. Choosing peace is an act of strength. Saying, this is what I need right now, without explaining yourself, is emotional maturity. You're not here to be the family therapist. You're not anyone's emotional ATM. You're not the emergency babysitter or the backup plan when someone flakes. You've lived long enough to know that pleasing everyone often comes at the cost of your health, your sleep, your sanity, and your self-respect. At 70, 75, or 80, you have every right to keep your mornings to yourself. To end a phone call early if you're tired. To skip a dinner if you don't have the energy. To read, walk, or simply sit in the afternoon sun and breathe. And if someone gets upset about that, let them. You don't need to apologize for choosing peace. Because peace isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's how you stay healthy, how you stay whole, how you actually live, not just survive. And if anyone calls that cruel, maybe they've just gotten too used to you sacrificing without ever speaking up. A lot of people think retirement is the finish line, that once you stop working, life just naturally becomes easier. But the truth is, you won't really rest in retirement unless you learn how to protect yourself. If you're not a little firm, you'll end up spending the rest of your life for everyone but you. And that's why being a little ruthless isn't about hurting anyone, it's about finally standing up for yourself. You're redrawing the lines now, around your time, your money, your kindness, and your peace, so that the rest of your life becomes the best part of your life. The fullest, the most meaningful, Let me ask you this. Out of all 7 truths we talked about, which one hit you the hardest? Is there something you know you need to be firmer about but still hesitate? Drop a comment below. Your words might be the encouragement someone else needs today. And if this video meant something to you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so more people over 70 can finally learn how to live without guilt. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.